Hello and welcome to the Blindseyepodcast. My name is Connor. This is a podcast discussing everything you did and didn't want to know about being blind, and hopefully we'll have a laugh a little bit while we do it too. Disclaimer: this is my first time really doing a podcast, so I'm learning. So be gentle. Um, and yeah, I'm not any kind of blind authority, so please take what I say with a certain amount of a pinch of salt. There will be people in the blind community who will agree with me and what I'm saying, and there'll be others who will, I don't know, smash their headphones in disgust. But, it is what it is. I'm just a dude sharing his thoughts and experiences. Alright, so for episode one, I thought a good place to start would be, I guess, like defining our terms or the language. So people would have heard terms like blind, low vision, vision impaired, legally blind, and I thought, that might be confusing for some people, so it'd be a good place to start and unpack all that kind of stuff. Let's start with the big one, the B word. So people would have heard the term blind, and I guess the natural assumption is similar to what the assumption I had before I lost my vision was to think blind meant that all you experience on your eyes is just this unbroken black, pitch black thing going on. And that's not really the case. I haven't really met many people who are blind who just see this complete unbroken black. Um, it's a very small percentage of people. In my own case, I have light perception, so I can usually tell where a light source is coming from in a room. I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell what it was coming from, whether it was a window or a ceiling light or a lamp, but usually I can tell where it's coming from. The best way I would probably describe what I see, for the lack of a better word, is imagine you're on a road late at night. It's very, very foggy. You have your high beam lights on, and coming towards you from the other direction is another car with their high beam lights on. But the fog is so thick that before you see the other car, you just see the rays of their high beam lights starting to poke through the fog. And that's probably as close as I can describe what I experience. So there are some things getting through. Sometimes it's usable, sometimes it's not, but it's never anything I can rely on. So I just have to act as if my eyes or my mind is playing tricks with me. Alright, so that's blindness. You also have low vision or vision impairment, and these two get used interchangeably in my own experience. Vision impairment was the term used for a long time, but I guess it's kind of maybe not seen as very PC anymore by some people. And now the term that more often gets used is low vision. And that's basically because, the impairment part of vision impairment, I guess, doesn't sound very, I don't know, inspirational or empowering or something like that. So low vision, I guess, is a nicer way of explaining. And low vision and vision impairment are a wide, wide field of things. So if you're vision impaired, you fall into that category because you have some kind of vision issue that can't be fixed by glasses or laser or contacts. So if you have a vision issue that can't be corrected to some extent, then you are classed as vision impaired or low vision. And that can be people who have tunnel vision, who have pigment issues, or peripheral vision, things like that. So it's a very wide field of people, and there's lots of different, I guess, diagnoses and conditions that can fall into that category. That kind of nicely brings us on to the last category, which is legal blindness. Now, legal blindness might sound heavy or as serious as the others, but essentially, unless I'm mistaken, the way it was explained to me is legal blindness is only, I guess, only applies to you if you can't read the eye chart in an optometrist or a doctor's correctly. I believe it's the top line. It's usually like the biggest letter. I might be mistaken. It's been a long time since I've been asked to look at the eye chart, as you can imagine. But generally, yeah, that's kind of where you fall into that legal blindness category. And that might mean, as I said, that you just wear glasses or you have contacts, or you might be at a point now where, laser surgery might be able to correct it. So that means that, there's millions and millions and millions of people around the world who are driving cars and doing all this stuff who are scientifically and medically and legally classed as blind. But that's not the kind of blind you think of. And it's not the kind of blind that I would think of, because there's such a gap between that experience and mine. So if you can think of all of this as like, imagine a pyramid. At the top of this pyramid, you have legal blindness, which, encompasses, I'm sure, lots of different conditions, but, it's relatively minor in terms of severity. And then underneath that, you have this massive chunk of low vision, and vision impairment, which again can be lots of different kinds of diagnosis, and can be quite a varied amount of vision and fluctuating vision that happens. And then underneath that, you have someone like myself who is in the more severe category again, where what you're experiencing is probably in some ways quite similar to other people who are blind, because I guess there's not as much space for the severity to go. So, you're either there or you're mostly there in terms of what you experience. Just as well, to make this all the more convoluted, is the fact that I guess these terms are some of them are used by doctors and medical people. Some of them are used by some people like myself, and then others are completely rejected by others. So, as an example of that, I have had the same vision or experience of vision, same level of vision, for 18 years, but it's only in the last 10 that I've been comfortable calling myself blind. So for 8 of those years beforehand, I just used to say I had a problem with my eyes, or I was vision impaired. But I wasn't vision impaired, because it was more severe than that. And that used to confuse some people. And then you have this whole battle between, well, do I define myself so it's easier for other people, but then fall into this category of going, well, if I call myself blind, are they going to treat me more differently than they are treating me now when I call myself vision impaired? And I guess, it comes down to like labels are sort of a personal thing. Some people are happy to do those things, and some people don't want to. And I guess there are pros and cons for both, because in some ways, yeah, you could have an easier life, but in others, if there's assumptions and connotations, and especially like discrimination involved, then that opens up another can of worms. So there is no right or wrong way to do this. It's more of an individual preference. So that just makes it all the more complicated and convoluted, but that's just how it is, frankly, unfortunately. So yeah, look, that was episode 1. I'm hoping it made sense. I'm going to try and tackle a new topic every week, and I'm also hoping that I'll get some questions coming through. So you can also get in touch with me by emailing blindseyepodcast@gmail.com. That's BLINDSEYE podcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet me at blindseyepod, and we'll take it from there. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.